Act 1 of Catherine Howard by Alexandre Dumas. Adapted by W. D. Suter. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Catherine Howard, or The Throne, the Tomb, and the Scaffold, an historical play in 3 acts from the celebrated play of that name by Alexandre Dumas, adapted by W. D. Suter, as first performed at the Surrey Theatre, London, under the management of Mr. Creswick, 1858. Cast of Characters.
King Henry, read by Larry Wilson.
Athelwood, Duke of Northumberland, read by Paul Simonon.
Archbishop Cranmer, read by Alan Mapstone.
Duke of Sussex, read by Kay Hand.
Duke of Norfolk, read by Tavarish.
Grand Chamberlain, read by Thomas Peter.
Lieutenant of the Tower, read by Sandra.
Fleming, an alchemist, read by Avaí.
Page, read by Lydia.
Martin Crinkley, a cordwainer, read by Thomas Peter.
Simon Creetner, a weaver, read by Vivienne Weaver.
Captain of the Guard, read by Bjorn V.
Executioner, read by Kalinda.
Princess Margaret, read by Lian Yao.
Catherine Howard, read by Beth Thomas.
Dame Kennedy, read by Lydia.
Winifred Crinkley, read by Sonia.
Stage directions read by Todd. Catherine Howard, Act 1. Scene 1. Reception chamber in palace. Enter Duke of Norfolk and Duke of Sussex, preceded by the Grand Chamberlain.
His Majesty is not yet visible.
Not yet, my lord.
Is there any change in the ordinary ceremonial?
None, my lord.
Enter Archbishop Cranmer.
Good morrow to your lordships.
They bow.
Tell me, my lords, is the difference yet settled with James of Scotland?
It has hardly commenced, for on the instant war will be declared by our noble King Henry.
My lords, His Majesty's sister, the Princess Margaret.
Enter Princess Margaret, attended. All bow.
We were speaking, madam, of the threatened war against Scotland.
My lord, since heaven has kindly given a son unto my brother, and so taken from me all chance of succeeding to England's throne, I no longer seek instruction in war and politics. Therefore, I pray that you will spare me the bellicose discussion.
Folding doors are thrown open by pages.
His Majesty approaches.
Enter King Henry, attended.
My lords, good morrow. Sister, how fares it with thee?
Looking around.
How our cousin of Northumberland not arrived yet?
Enter Athelwold.
Health to your Majesty.
You are welcome, my lord. We have something for your private ear.
Music. The pages bring forward a chair. Henry waves his hand. Margaret, etc. go off right. Norfolk, Suffolk, left. The king's attendants, center. Doors are closed. Henry approaches Archbishop Cranmer and bows before him. Cranmer raises his hands above Henry and goes off.
Athelwold, my friend, look at me. I am a king, great and powerful. Perchance there is not one amongst my subjects by whom I am not envied. And yet I swear to you there are times when I envy the poorest and meanest of my subjects.
You, sire?
Yes, for the lowest of my subjects may have a wife and children who love him. The lowest of my subjects is therefore happier than his king.
But your queens have loved you, sire, and the children they have left you.
Of my 4 marriages, what now remains to me? The remembrance of a few days of happiness, and 20 years of remorse, grief, and shame. 2 daughters whom the law has declared incapable to reign, and a son that heaven has declared incapable to live.
Sire, a new marriage may yet bring you that happiness which hitherto you have vainly sought.
I know it, and will once more tempt my fate. But this time my queen shall be chosen from amidst the people. She must be young, that I may love her, beautiful, that she may gratify my pride, and wise, that I may fearlessly confide in her discretion.
Where will your majesty seek this paragon, this treasure?
She is already found, cousin, and resides on the banks of the Thames within a few miles of my palace. An aged nurse has reared her, since almost from her infancy she has been an orphan.
Her name is doubtless as yet a secret.
No, 'cause that you may render me the service I am about to ask of you, it is even necessary that you should know it. Her name is Catherine Howard.
Rises. Ethelwood, clinging to chair for support.
Catherine Howard?
Yes, my lord.
Smiling.
'Tis an obscure name, is it not? So obscure that only the eye of Fleming, my alchemist, could have discovered it.
Fleming. So it was he that...
Yes, and in a manner most simple, and...
Smiling.
Without having recourse to sorcery or enchantment. He was seeking in the neighborhood of London the herbs necessary for his chemical operations, when, surprised by a shower of rain, he sought shelter in the isolated mansion inhabited by that girl. So marvelous a treasure astounded him. He knew my intentions, and on his return told me of her.
And on his mere word your majesty has decided?
Oh, no. Yesterday, guided by our old alchemist, and perfectly disguised, a boat conveyed us to the spot where dwells the lady who has so occupied our thoughts.
And there?
We beheld her, wandering on the banks of the river, and in a profound reverie, as if she already felt a presentiment of the high destiny that awaits her.
Ethelwold, quickly.
And Fleming had exaggerated.
No, she far excelled all that he had said of her, my lord. The beauty of Anne Boleyn, the grace of Jane Seymour.
And you spoke to her?
No, my lord. She modestly retired as she perceived our boat approaching her. I intended to have seen her again this day, or at furthest tomorrow, but this sudden war with Scotland has deprived me of all leisure. I have therefore formed a fresh resolution. You, my lord, will tomorrow seek her with a befitting escort chosen from the people of thy palace, and you will bring the young lady hither, and confide her to the care of the Princess Margaret, to whom on my recommendation she will become a maid of honour. And now I may no longer linger with you, for I am stayed for at the council board. Adieu, and remember that I rely on your devotion to your king.
Exit. Ethelwold sinks into chair, for a moment overpowered. Then suddenly starting up, hurries to door, at which he knocks violently, and calls.
Fleming! Fleming!
Fleming, without.
Who calls?
Forth from your burrow, old fox, to the broad daylight, disciple of hell. A Christian would speak with you.
Enter Fleming.
How can I serve your lordship?
The king has this instant left me.
Heaven preserve his majesty.
Amen.
Raising his hat.
So, old calculator, you have chosen a fifth wife for Henry.
Yes, and one, as my science tells me, will make him happy.
Your science, then, has lied, most learned Fleming, for this marriage can never be.
Wherefore?
For this reason. She whom you would cause the king to espouse, Catherine Howard, is it not?
Yes. Well?
Well, she is my wife.
Mercy, I am lost.
Yes, Fleming, thou art lost, for thou knowest the law which after Anne Boleyn's death was passed by Henry's orders.
Yes, yes.
This law condemns to the same scaffold the queen, who, not being a maiden, wedded the king without avowing first the truth, and all others, male and female, who shall have counselled or aided in the marriage. So, ho, you promised him a wife, young, beautiful, and virtuous. Catherine is all these. But think you that such virtue would content the judge of Catherine of Aragon, the executioner of Anne Boleyn?
Confess all to him, my lord, and he will pardon you. For me?
Pardon. Oh, yes, and would make of my wife a maid of honour to Princess Margaret, would send me to do battle in the Highlands. No, Fleming, no, no.
Oh, my lord, have pity on me.
Pity for thee, whose pandering search has crushed my every hope in life, who over my bright and golden days has cast a pall-like shadow. Who, I prithee, is to pity me?
Oh, is there no way by which your happiness and my life may be preserved?
Yes, one way.
Ah.
Dangerous.
No matter.
Desperate.
Speak.
It is I who am commissioned by the king to seek Catherine and conduct her to the court.
When?
Tomorrow.
Oh, heaven.
The king must not again behold her.
No, or we are lost, for he already loves her.
Then it is necessary that this night she die.
My lord, I have the most subtle poisons.
Athelwold, seizing him.
Miscreant!
Mercy!
She must die to the king and all the world, but she must live for me alone.
What would my lord that I should do?
Is there not a distillation which can suddenly arrest the blood within the veins, stay the beatings of the heart, and for a while suspend the course of life? May not this sleep resemble death so closely as to deceive the most mistrustful eye?
Yes, my lord, and I possess the secret of that liquid.
And can answer for its effect?
With my life.
Well, for that liquid I will give you more gold than during an entire year your furnace could produce.
Descend with me, my lord, to my laboratory.
And in an hour?
You will leave it with the filter that you need.
Athelwold, staying him.
A moment, Fleming. You have well understood me. This is for you an affair of life or death.
My life is in your lordship's hands.
Lead on.
Exeunt. Clear stage. Scene 2. Catherine's chamber. Door looking on to open country. Small table covered with fruit and flowers. Toilet table, glass, chairs, couch, etc. Catherine enters, leaning on the arm of Dame Kennedy.
We have had but a short walk, my child.
Yes, good nurse, for it grows late.
The sun has scarcely set, and at this hour, seen from yonder height, the horizon is so beautiful.
Catherine, smiling.
Yes, magnificent. But it is the same sun and the same horizon that I saw yesterday.
Sits.
There now, you are sad again.
Nay, nurse, not sad, but wearied.
And can you pine amidst the lovely country that surrounds you?
Yes. If I saw it for the first time, I should no doubt think it very beautiful, but for 18 years I have gazed upon the same prospect.
And how long then have I looked upon it, and have not wearied yet? I thank heaven that has enabled me to limit my desires to things within my reach, and has never inspired me with a thought of happiness in aught beyond.
And yet, nurse, all that is beyond our power of attainment must be indeed delightful. London, they say, 'tis magnificent. Oh, shall I ever inhabit London?
Some day, child, you will marry, for you are too beautiful and too good not to find a rich and noble husband.
Catherine, quickly.
Oh, yes, and dwell in London, in a palace, own a forest wherein, with falcon on my wrist, I can pursue the game, followed by pages and by valets. You shall accompany me through my estates, shall behold me receive the homage of my vassals. Oh, then I shall no longer pine, for I shall be rich and beautiful, ay, and powerful too. Shall need but to command, for none will dare to disobey.
Silly girl.
Oh, dame, were I told that I should always continue thus, in this lone and paltry cottage, within these stifling walls, in rooms so poorly furnished, I would, believe me, rather lie within a coffin, provided it were covered by a noble tomb of marble.
There are days, my child, when the dreams of your imagination terrify me. Trust me, 'twere best you should abandon all such thoughts.
Oh, no, they are my only wealth, my dreams, my only happiness, you must not take from me. When alone, I hear strange voices murmur in my ear, see strange visions float before my eyes. In the fire are salamanders that in their sport do raise 1,000 sparkles. In the water which flows beneath our windows there bathes a naiad who, each time that I bend to her, salutes me as a sister. The perfumed breeze which evening brings us passes laden with sylphs who stay and nestle midst my tresses, and fairies, naiads, sylphs, all whisper words in my ears, oh, words that almost drive me mad.
What an age of happiness, when one has but to close the eyes to behold such wonders, and when dreams are a consolation of the reality. But beware, my child, of all the demons that in their waking or their sleeping hours do hover around young girls. The most dangerous and the most difficult to be banished is the demon of ambition.
Exit.
Nay, good nurse, he is not a demon, but an angel, and the most attractive, the most splendid is the king of the hosts, for he has golden wings, and his head is surmounted by a crown. So, good nurse, go and let me open the door by which all my dreams do enter and depart.
Catherine closes door after Kennedy, then goes to and opens door.
Will Athelwold come this evening? This morning he said, perhaps, and perhaps is always yes. How much he loves me! And yet he cannot, or wherefore conceal from me his name and rank? Each morning do I hope that during the day I shall know the whole. Evening arrives, and I have learned nothing. He is very happy when he can steal a few hours. From whom? I do not know. From another, perhaps, that he may give them to me, buried here far from the world, a prisoner, a slave.
Sits.
The evening hours are laden with pleasures to dwellers in cities, but I sit here alone and sad, awaiting my husband, who perchance will not come. My husband who has title and rank, of that I'm certain, and who gives me neither rank nor title.
Rises.
If, however, I were with him now in London, instead of doffing this simple robe, whose plainness humbles me, to seek before the hour a sleep that will not come, I should be seated at my toilette.
Sits before glass at table.
I should choose from the caskets that he has given me, so useless to me here, the richest of my jewels.
Opening caskets and decking herself with jewels.
I would put this necklace of pearls around my neck, these diamonds in my ears, these bracelets on my arms. Amid the simple flowers of my hair, these tiny diamond stars. This girdle of precious stones should encircle my waist. A page should precede us. Halls resplendent with light would be open to us. And when I appeared, oh, if my mirror deceive me not, no voice around but would exclaim, never was queen more brilliantly attired, never was queen more beautiful.
Athelwold has entered, and has heard the last 2 or 3 lines of the speech. He advances to the back of her chair. She sees his shadow in the glass, and starts up.
Oh, Athelwold, I did not see you.
I know it. You were by far too interestingly occupied to observe my arrival.
Am I pretty thus?
But too beautiful, lady.
Aside.
For my happiness.
Then thank heaven that hath made me so for you. Now come to me and embrace me, my lord.
He receives her in his arms, but does not embrace her.
Besides, it was instinct which caused me thus to deck my figure. I have made myself beautiful from a presentiment. My heart told me that you would come to me. So smooth that thoughtful brow, sit, and I will place myself at your feet, my gentle chevalier, my gallant baron, my noble earl.
Seating herself at his feet.
By which of these titles must I call you?
By none of them, for none can I claim.
But how did you come? For I did not hear the gallop of your steed.
I came by the Thames in a fisherman's boat, for today more than ever did I dread being recognized.
Ever mysterious. You therefore have very powerful motives?
Judge of their import, my love. since I conceal them from you, who are my life.
Oh, if you love me.
Never before was woman loved by man as I love thee, my Catherine.
Forgive me.
Athelwold, taking her head between his hands.
Look on me, dearest, my heart till its last throb, my life till its latest breath, my blood to the last drop are thine, all thine, and thine alone, Kate. And should I lose thee, should another... Oh, heaven!
You suffer.
Yes, I am fatigued. My forehead burns. Give me drink. Drink!
Catherine, rising.
Oh, yes, my lord.
While she goes to and opens a cabinet, he draws a vial from his vest, and pours a portion of its contents into a goblet which is on the table. Athelwold, aside.
Heaven pardon me, that thus I tempt thy power.
In default of page, will you suffer me to be your cupbearer?
He holds the cup. She pours.
Thanks.
Your hand trembles.
Athelwold, still seated, and taking her in his arms.
Kate, Kate! Oh, never, never!
You are very sad tonight. How shall I cheer your drooping spirits? Shall I say to you the ballad made of that ancient king of England, Edgar, who married with a vassal the beautiful Elfrida?
Athelwold, aside.
Oh, her every word is fresh torture to my heart.
Wilt listen?
No, I know the story. She was betrothed to one Richard of humble birth, when King Edgar saw and loved her, and...
Yes, and as knight and baron, even as earl, did she reject him. But when he told her that he was king, and said that she should share his throne, then was the serf dazzled, and she became his queen.
And is it thus that ends the tale of Elfrida the Beautiful?
Is it not complete? She becomes queen, I said.
But what of Richard?
Richard?
Her lover.
The ballad makes no further mention of him.
So neither in the verses of the troubadour, nor in the soul of his mistress, a thought of him so shamefully cast off? I shall be less ungrateful than they were, for I will drink to his memory.
He holds the goblet without carrying it to his lips. Catherine, looking at him.
Well?
Do you forget? Have I ever drank from a cup that your lips have not previously kissed, that I might taste upon its edge the place where they had pressed? Come, my dear Elfrida. No, pardon me, I mean my Catherine. To the memory of Richard.
Catherine drinks. He looks on her greatly agitated, then snatches the goblet from her lips and casts it at his feet, exclaiming,
Oh, Kate, Kate, forgive, oh, forgive me.
Catherine, surprised.
Forgive you?
There was no other way. It was, alas, the only means.
What mean you?
Without it we had been lost, forever separated. You are pale, Catherine.
Yes, yes, what can this mean? I am faint. The room swims around me. Ah, I am turning blind.
Oh, heaven!
My breast is all on fire. My forehead burns. Oh, surely this is death.
Oh, misery, misery to see her suffer thus. Oh, better that I had...
Leave me, leave me. Water, water, I choke. Mercy, pity me, Athel. Oh, I feel that I am dying. Is there no aid? Oh, without, help there, help.
Athelwold, taking her in his arms.
No, no, not a cry, not a sound.
Catherine, patting her hands to her head.
What are these? Flowers? Jewels?
Snatching them away.
Despair! Oh, life! Heaven! Life!
You will not die.
So young to perish! Oh, heaven, have pity on me! Kennedy! Kennedy! I can see nothing! I am dying!
She struggles in Athelwold's arms, repulses him, and falls. Athelwold, kneeling beside her and raising her in his arms.
Oh, Kate, Kate! Now I am sure that we shall live or die together.
Embraces her, rises, opens door, rings bell violently, returns to Catherine, embraces her and rushes off, as Dame Kennedy enters. She hurries and kneels beside Catherine, places one hand on Catherine's heart, and, weeping, hides her face in the other. Music. Curtain. End of Act 1. Act 2 of Catherine Howard by Alexandre Dumas, adapted by W.D. Suter. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 2. Scene 1. Vault of Sepulchre. Steps at back up to door. Several tombs with statues lying on them. Well forward, an open tomb, raised, with steps, on which Catherine Howard is lying. Lamp on a tomb. Athelwold discovered standing beside Catherine.
Ay, Fleming, thou hast indeed kept faith with me. Her sleep is twin sister to death itself, and but that it is my own work, I must myself have been deceived by the resemblance. Oh, I can understand how an assassin may not feel remorse when gazing on his victim, for if this inanimate body be not happy, at least 'tis very tranquil. Oh, Catherine, Catherine, would it not be better that I should cast myself beside thee in this tomb, and suffer them firmly to enclose us, that locked together in each other's arms we might sleep calmly on until the day of everlasting reawakening? For who but heaven can say whether in this world joy or calamity is in store for us? Who but heaven knows whether hereafter thou wilt bless or curse me for suffering thee again to live? For there is nothing certain in the future save the grave, and wherefore should we wait death's slow approach, since so easily we can reach it? Oh, Kate!
Bends over her and kisses her on the forehead.
Heavens! Surely her frame did quiver then. My voice, even through this lethargy, has penetrated to her soul. Oh, Catherine, Catherine! Revive, revive! Hence all thought of death. Live, live! With thee happiness or woe, joy or despair. Oh, heaven! Yes, live, Kate, darling, live!
Turning towards door at back, which at this moment opens.
Ha! Who comes here? Oh, imprudence! Why did I not secure that door?
Advances towards it, then retreats terrified.
The king! The king here?
Returns to tomb and bends over Catherine.
Powers of darkness weigh her eyelids down with a leaden slumber. Rather let her never awaken than awaken now.
Enter Henry. Henry, closing door, perplexed by the darkness.
Athelwold, where art thou?
Athelwold, going towards him.
Here, sire, here.
Henry, descending steps and laying his hand on Athelwold's arm.
You are indeed a faithful friend.
Where is she?
Athelwold, pointing to tomb.
There.
Thanks, your grace, for having placed her in your family vault. A week later and she should have slept in ours of Westminster.
Sire, the woman on whom during her life your majesty had designed to cast your eyes could not be but for me, even after her death, an object of respect and veneration. But how comes it that your majesty has descended here alone?
I desired once more to behold her ere the tomb was forever closed upon her. When those of my palace who yesterday accompanied you returned, and told me that you had found her dead, and that you had remained to render her the last rites, oh, scarcely could I credit the afflicting tidings. My eyes filled with tears. My heart did scarcely throb. Oh, I loved her, and must behold her once again.
Athelwold draws his dagger, and with the other hand raises the veil which covers Catherine, and taking the lamp, approaches and holds it over her.
Then look upon her, sire.
Henry, regarding her fixedly.
Dead, Dead, dead.
Raising his eyes to heaven.
Have I offended heaven? A star was about to shed its lustre o'er England, and o'er England's king. A breeze passes laden with death, and it is extinguished. O paltry human authority, so mighty to destroy life, so utterly powerless to restore it.
Taking her right hand.
Oh, that I could but give warmth to this hand which I now press within mine own.
Athelwold, aside, touching her left hand.
I permit you, king, to hold that hand, for it is still cold.
Catherine, my beautiful, my affianced.
Placing ring on her finger.
Carry with thee to the grave this ring which thou shouldst have worn upon the throne. Oh, how royal should be the ransom I would pay, could I restore thee again to life, my Catherine.
Athelwold, aside.
Malediction! Her heart renews its throbbings.
Oh, heaven! It is then true that sovereign and subject alike are equal to thee, and that a king within his palace is no more prized by thee than a poor clown within his sorry hut. Catherine, Catherine.
Athelwold, aside, listening.
She breathes. Sire, you must no longer remain. Such unholy exclamations are a profanation. Come, sire, come.
No, no, I cannot yet quit her tomb.
Athelwold, aside.
Damnation, she awakes.
Aloud.
Sire, sire, suffer the dead quietly to sleep on, or tremble lest they rise and curse you for having dared to trouble their last rest.
Dragging him away.
Come, come.
He drags Henry off, who exclaims as he leaves the vault,
Catherine, O Catherine, thou bride of death, farewell, farewell forever.
Closing door after him. A short pause. Music. Catherine, raising her arm. It falls again to her side.
Oh, heaven! How profound is my sleep! Meseems that I am fastened to this bed. Oh, I have no power to raise myself.
Rises on her hands.
My eyes will not unclose.
Pressing her hand over her forehead.
There is a weight upon my brow.
Touching her white crown.
Oh, I have slept with my crown on. Dame Kennedy. Still night? I thought it had been daylight. I am very cold, and frightened too.
Descends from the tomb, and almost falls upon the steps.
Oh, how my limbs ache. Steps, a lamp.
Touches monument.
Marble?
Rising terrified.
A tomb?
Walking, and dragging wrappings with her.
A shroud? Oh, great heaven, where am I? In a funeral vault, surrounded by the dead.
Shuddering.
Horror! Horror! What has happened to me? Let me reflect. All is calm, all tranquil here. Why then should I fear? Let me think. Athelwold as usual came yesterday, or the day before, for I no longer know the days. Then I experienced frightful torture, believed that I should die. Then my senses left me, and then, oh!
Suddenly and despairingly,
I have been thought dead, and was entombed here, living, and no escape. This door...
Goes to door up the steps, puts her hand upon the lock. The key is not there. She tries door.
Fast! Merciful powers!
Rapidly descends steps, and coming hastily forward, falls on her knees.
Mercy, heaven, mercy!
Her figure droops, and she is nearly fainting. Athelwold appears at door, closes it, and coming forward proceeds directly to the tomb. Seeing it empty, he calls,
Kate!
Catherine, rising on one arm.
Did I not hear my name?
Catherine!
Catherine, rising at a bound.
Here! Here!
Ah!
Darting towards her.
Athelwold, I am saved! Athelwold, can we not leave this place?
Yes, yes, but not till I have held you to my heart, that I may feel assured you live, and live for me alone.
Yes, yes, for you alone. But let us go, let us go. I need air, air.
Yet a moment, I implore you, Catherine, in the name of our love, which by now and narrowly has escaped a terrible danger.
Catherine, clinging closer to him.
Yes, yes, 'tis well. But tell me, do not quit me. How comes it that I was here amidst these tombs, alone, shut in, and one of them my bed? How is it that I behold you, that like my guardian angel you have hastened to restore me to life and to the light of day? Speak, tell me, I entreat you.
Yes, for the moment has arrived that you may know the secret which has so perplexed you.
What? Shall I know who thou really art?
Yes, I am Athelwold, Duke of Northumberland. The king alone claims rank above the peers of England.
Ah, and I shall share honours, fortune, position with you?
In giving you my heart, did I not bestow all these upon you? Am I not ready now to yield to you my life?
Then you will conduct me to the court?
One word.
Yes, say on.
You have heard of King Henry's amours, always dissolute, sometimes fatal?
Yes.
Well, I thought of him, and dared not introduce you at his court, for royalty has but to breathe upon the honour of a woman, and it is tarnished. Hence I concealed my rank from you, for I trembled lest some indiscretion on your part should destroy the happiness that depended so entirely on my Catherine. A year flew thus, 12 months of felicity, during which I every evening came to you, whilst every day I was compelled by my position to be near the king. And the better to hide my secret, there I feigned that my ambitious desires were for the Princess Margaret.
The king's sister?
Yes, but it was you who held my heart, who inspired my every thought.
Yes, yes, I know all that, but you have not yet told me why.
Well, all that I feared has come to pass. 4 days ago, the king beheld you.
The king has seen me? Seen me?
Yes.
And
he loves you.
Loves me?
Or thinks he loves you. He desires you. Now you understand, from that moment, unless some preventive were found, we both were lost. A skilful alchemist furnished me, for gold, with a narcotic liquid whose effect is rapid and profound. You drank, and when the messengers of the king came to conduct you to court, they found your nurse weeping over my beautiful Catherine, who was but sleeping, while all believed that she was dead.
All? The king also?
Oh, it was most essential that he, above all, should so believe.
And even now he does not doubt?
No, for that which might have destroyed has saved us.
What mean you?
While I stood here beside your tomb, awaiting your first breath, your first sigh, your first look, the king, suspicious no doubt, appeared at yonder door.
The king?
Descended those steps, and approached this tomb, where I, steel in hand, awaited him. For by the rood, had he shown suspicion, I would have slain him.
My lord, you would have killed your king?
Rather than have lost you, by heaven, yes. But everything aided us. Vainly did he place that ring upon your finger.
Catherine, aside, looking at it.
A ring of betrothal.
Your hand remained frozen within his own. Vainly did he call upon your name. You waked not. You did not answer the fatal appeal. His adulterous lips were vainly pressed upon your brow, for that brow continued pale and still as pure, so that now he cannot doubt, can never suspect, that you are still the prey of death and of the tomb.
Oh, but think, had that beverage proved mortal? If, instead of a mere narcotic, that man had given thee a poison?
I had foreseen all that.
And?
And gave thee but half the vial's contents.
Nevertheless, 'tis most frightful. Living, and yet thought dead by all the world.
Ah, dear Kate, forget the world that you have quitted, as already it hath forgotten thee. At the earliest possible moment I will quit England, conduct thee to France. There we shall find a court far more magnificent, more mirthful than Henry's. My fortune, too, and my title will be thine. Homage and pleasure will surround thee, and then thou wilt confess that I have acted well, that thou art happy, happy, happy.
Yes, but until then we shall dwell far from London?
Oh, no, close by.
And should I be seen?
Oh, you will conceal yourself from every eye.
Catherine, aside.
And so have but exchanged my tomb.
Catherine, now that you know all, and the king and his train have departed, let us quit this vault.
Already?
Come.
First, be sure that no one will perceive us, that all is quiet, and the night fallen dark.
But you...
Will remain an instant here. I am frightened now.
'Tis well. I go.
Exit.
'Tis very strange, but all seems changed to me since Athelwold's revelation. Henry the Eighth loves me. The Tudor has descended into this vault once more to behold the humble Howard. How was it I did not suddenly awaken at the echo of his steps, the sound of his voice? His feet were, may be, placed upon this spot where now I stand. Here towards me he has bowed the head that bears a crown. Here he has placed his royal hands. Here is the ring, the betrothal ring which he has slipped upon my finger. Oh, there cannot be a doubt he loves me truly, ardently. And does he believe me dead?
Leans her head against the tomb. Enter Athelwold. Athelwold at door.
Kate!
Catherine, rising.
Ah!
Come, Kate. All is quiet. Let us leave this funeral vault.
Catherine, going to him, aside.
I fear, Athelwold, thy most sumptuous mansion will never so greatly charm me as this gloomy vault, brightened by the presence of the king.
With her feet on the bottom step, she turns and looks toward tomb. Athelwold at door. Scene closes in. Scene 2, a street. Enter Martin Crinkley and Simon Creetner.
I consider myself a man, aye, and by the king's beard as good a man as they.
Don't talk treason, Martin.
What? Is it treason to be a man? Then have our liberties come to a pretty pass. As well say 'tis treason to be married.
No, certainly that is not treason. Yet 'tis not reason.
You are right. There is no reason in it. 'Tis very stupid, Simon. If to be man, a superior specimen of human nature, a householder to pay taxes, if all this be treason, then denounce me to Royal Harry, for I am a traitor.
Well, no, but you talk.
Of course I do, for I have the organ of speech, a mouth organ, do you mark me?
But you talk in a way...
Well, it's my way, and I say here before everybody.
There is nobody but me.
And you are nobody, so I shall postpone my burst of eloquence till I get a better audience.
You cause a riot in every town we enter.
Then you should not lead me into such dens of iniquity.
I?
Certainly. The jingle of coins never heard in my pouch, and if you are not so infamous as to pay for the spiced sack that I imbibe, I should be too virtuous ever to enter a tavern.
There's gratitude. 'Tis I that would avoid every hostelry, but you force every silver from my pocket.
And is it not a horrible country, Simon, where a man has to pay for another's luxuries, whether he likes it or not?
You should have a private purse, Martin.
Impossible.
Why so?
Because I am married, Simon, and there is another instance of frightful tyranny. I am never allowed a coin. Is it not atrocious that a man, I may, without vanity, say a fine man, should be the slave of a woman, and that woman too his wife?
I know she governs you.
She does, and never blushes at her abominable delinquency. Talk of liberty! Where in England is one to look for the commodity, when even one's wife is allowed to gallop roughshod over a husband's rights? Henry VIII's government is horrible to endure, but petticoat government, oh, that is something awful.
What nonsense you do talk.
Nonsense. Depend upon it, Simon, there will be no liberty in this country till every woman is made a prisoner for life. Where is our freedom? Where the liberty of the subject? When at this very moment I, with the courage of a lion, am trembling lest my spouse, Winifred Crinkly, should suddenly pounce upon me.
Winifred enters left. Crinkly goes over to right.
And no wonder, lazy ale-bibber that thou art. Thy business is going to wreck and ruin.
I have no time to attend to business. I am engaged in the pursuit of liberty.
Yes, liberty to lounge about the streets talking rubbish, and haunt taverns.
Advancing.
Listen to me, Master Martin, or...
Crinkly, retreating.
Beware what you do. I am a man. I pay taxes.
Dost thou? Not lately, then, for the collector has just called for the arrears, and was about to take possession of our chattels.
Simon, you hear that? More tyranny.
And the vintner, who was besotted enough to give thee credit, has threatened law.
He has, bloated tyrant. Take my word for it, Simon, there can be no hope for liberty in this country so long as a man is compelled to pay his debts.
And thou, Master Creedner, why dost thou entice my husband from his dwelling, and trot at his heels like a spaniel dog?
Simon, remember, you are a man.
Silence!
Crinkly, aside.
Disgusting tyranny.
He seeks me out, Mistress Winifred. He clings to me.
I shall in future endeavour to keep him from thee.
And this is a land of liberty where you may not have a friend, must basely desert the man who has money to discharge on alehouse reckoning.
He talks treasons and brings me into danger, for when people threaten to call the guard, he always swears 'twas I who spoke.
Shameful, Martin, shameful.
I can no longer doubt it. Liberty is extinct, for now a man is not allowed to sacrifice his friend to save himself.
Get to thy home, Simon Creedner.
Gladly.
Crossing.
For my loom is idle, and my pockets empty.
Crinkly, aside.
And I shall need more spiced ale.
And thou, Martin, come with me.
Winifred Crinkly, I am a man. I pay taxes. Simon Creedner, liberty is a precious prerogative. Therefore resolve as I do to maintain your rights, and never to yield to any tyrant breathing.
Winifred, with authority.
Are you coming, Martin?
Crinkly, humbly.
Certainly, my love.
Martin follows Winifred off. Exit Simon. Scene changes to scene 3. Chamber, handsomely furnished, door covered with tapestry. Catherine enters, goes to Athelwold, discovered sitting on a sofa, and gives him her hand.
My lord.
Ah, 'tis you. My heart welcomes you. And how did you sleep last night in your new dwelling?
I did not sleep an instant.
And yet your eyes are brilliant, your complexion rose-like, as if sleep had shaken over you all her nightly flowers.
Waking hours have sometimes dreams as sweet as those which follow us to our sleep. Happiness and hope can also freshen the complexion and make the eyes sparkle.
So you're happy?
Surely, since you have promised me that we shall not leave England.
Sits by his side.
But if we quit not England, my beautiful Duchess, you will be compelled to renounce that title, to forego the pleasures of the court of France, the joy of hearing 20 times a day that you are fair.
You will tell me so, will you not?
My darling Kate.
But prithee, why have you lodged me in the most remote chambers of this mansion? The view methinks from this apartment is far more beautiful, and during your absence, for you have said that occasionally you must leave to attend the court, I should find pleasure in gazing from this window.
Catherine, this chamber has always been mine own. To change would be to arouse suspicion. All who seek me come to this apartment. You see hence that I have foreseen everything, and how impossible it is that I should grant what now you ask.
But I may sometimes approach this window to watch for your return, to wave my handkerchief, and say by signs that which you would not have uttered from my lips. Come quickly, for I love thee, I think of and expect thee.
Is not the entire mansion thine own, love? Yes, come hither, but never without the greatest caution, never without closing, as I do now, this door.
Secures door.
Tell me, is it London that we behold from this casement?
Yes.
And the Palace of Whitehall, cannot that be distinguished?
Aye.
Pointing.
'Tis there.
It was to that palace that when raised to the throne Anne Boleyn was conducted.
Yes.
Tell me, is it true that when she left her splendid barge upon the Thames and placed her foot upon the shore, the queenly robe was thrown across her shoulders, that the white satin litter in which she was borne, and on all sides open, that the people might gaze on her who was to reign over them? It was Nurse Kennedy who related this to me.
She told you, truly.
Ambassadors and noblemen with 100 gentlemen mounted on splendid steeds accompanied her.
Observing Athelwold's fixed look of astonishment.
Is it not true that thus splendidly attired and with that brilliant train Anne Boleyn arrived at Whitehall to join the monarch who there most eagerly awaited her?
And 3 years after she left Whitehall, clothed in black and accompanied but by a single priest, repaired to the Tower where the headsman awaited her.
She merited her fate, for she deceived the king.
You are admirably informed in all these matters, my sweet historian. It is a new accomplishment for which I have never given you credit.
Raises her hand to kiss it. His lips touch the ring that the king has put upon her finger. He starts.
Why do you start?
'Tis nothing.
But tell me.
I dare not.
Oh, yes.
What if it is a sacrifice that I would ask of you?
Speak nevertheless, and we will see if we love you sufficiently to make that sacrifice.
That ring.
Well?
My lips encountered it but now on kissing your hand, and it was given you not by me, but by another. Are you anxious to retain that ring?
Catherine, holding it up.
Do you not think that it becomes my hand, that it is a foil to its whiteness?
But, dear love, thy hand is sufficiently white, sufficiently beautiful without it. So let me have it.
A ring given by a king is rare and curious, and surely worth preserving.
Yes, but when that king has given it as a token of love...
Art jealous?
Yes, Kate, I confess I am jealous. I should be jealous even of him whom thy robe had touched in passing. Oh, Catherine, Catherine!
Throwing himself at her feet.
Pity me, for I am mad with love for thee. Thou wilt have mercy on me, and wilt not, by retaining that ring, crush my heart?
Catherine, rising, and looking from window.
Athelwold, look! Do you not behold a troop of horse approaching yonder on the London road? Lo, they wind their way towards this mansion.
Pointing off, but not leaving the sofa. Athelwold, bending out of the window.
Yes, who are these men, and what their errand?
Catherine, aside.
He will forget the ring.
Heavens, I cannot be mistaken. 'Tis he. What would he now?
He? Whom?
Harry of England.
Catherine, advancing hastily towards window.
The king?
Athelwold, restraining her.
Yes, yes, the king.
Drawing her back.
Fly this instant, Catherine. Return to your own apartment, I implore you. And in the name of heaven, in the name of our love, of my life, oh, conceal my treasure from every eye.
Suddenly stopping as a trumpet sounds without.
Do you not hear his trumpet? He is there, even now, at yonder door. Away! Away!
Hurries her off. Draws the tapestry over the door by which she goes.
Why comes he here? Has he learned that I have deceived him?
Goes to and opens door.
Yet, no, for then...
Enter page.
His Majesty the King.
Exit page. Enter Henry. Athelwold, bowing.
Sire.
Good morning, your grace.
This honor, sire.
I must e'en seek you, Athelwold, in your own mission, since you will not visit me in my palace.
Your Majesty had but to express the wish and...
Yes, I know, but I had need to converse with you, and instantly, of important matters, and the walls of my palace have ears. So I preferred to come here and speak surrounded by this old tapestry.
Catherine is seen to raise the tapestry of her door, and listen for a short time.
Thanks.
Henry sits on the sofa. Athelwold remains standing.
And now, Athelwold, hearken to me. For the last year you have, I know, been dreaming of an honour you thought unattainable.
I, sire?
Your lips, 'tis true, have not given utterance to a word that could betray your secret, but your eyes have revealed it to all who would give themselves the trouble to observe. My lord, brief, you love my sister.
Sire.
Yesterday I questioned the Princess Margaret and learned her sentiments respecting you.
And she does not love me.
She does love you.
Heavens!
This time for once my heart and my politics can agree.
Extending his hand to Athelwold.
You will be happy, Athelwold, and your happiness will ensure my tranquillity, for when I depart to Scotland, I shall leave for regent of my kingdom more than a friend, a brother. I shall go without fear, since, should misfortune happen to me, the law, in consequence of the illegitimate birth of Mary and Elizabeth, and the poor health of Prince Edward, has empowered me to name a succession to my throne.
Rising.
Therefore, brother, I shall leave with thee a testament of which my keeper of the seals will hold, a duplicate appointing you regent in my absence, king on my death.
Sire.
Well.
Oh, I am unworthy of such favour.
Wherefore?
I can accept nothing of all that your Majesty has offered.
Ah, what means your grace? Methinks you are distraught.
Sire, I can understand why you should deem me so, or most ungrateful, but, sire, I cannot accept.
Henry, threateningly.
My lord, you will.
Athelwold, raising his head.
I have reflected, sire.
You refuse the regency?
I am grateful for the honour, sire, but...
You decline the hand of the Princess Margaret.
I know how little I have expected the offer of such an alliance. Therefore, I but render justice to myself in confessing that I am unworthy of it.
Do you forget that under the friend is the king? That entreaty may be followed by command.
Sire, in the name of all you hold most dear, have grace. Save me from my threatened destiny. Your entreaty has made of me an ingrate. Your command would make of me a rebel.
I am curious to see such boldness.
Smiles. Athelwold, advancing to take his hand.
Oh, I implore your Majesty.
Henry, repulsing him.
Back, my lord, back.
Athelwold, placing his hand on his sword.
Sire.
Beware, my lord, beware. You have laid your hand upon your sword in presence of your king. That is high treason, my lord.
Oh, heaven, teach me how to act.
Fortunes more brilliant than your graces have shone around our throne, but on one breath of ours they have died extinct.
I know it.
You now are rich and powerful, but I could snatch from you, shred by shred, your titles and your fortune, and cast you forth to storm and tempest more poor and naked than the meanest mendicant who crawls before my palace gates.
You could.
I could drag you before the peers and charge you with high treason for the crime which you have just committed.
I should not deny it.
I could drag you to the scaffold.
I should not fear to climb the steps.
Ah, this is too much, my lord. And we shall see who first will yield.
Going. Athelwold is following.
Remain.
Sire, you are now within my mansion. I am, till declared otherwise by my peers, still a loyal subject. It is my duty, therefore, to attend your majesty to the entrance gate, and bend my knee, that you may mount your steed.
Come then, my lord, but by our royal word it is the last time such honour shall be accorded to you.
Exeunt. Catherine comes forward slowly.
He is very handsome. So that's the king who descended to my tomb to place this ring upon my finger, and would have placed a crown upon my head. How great and powerful he appears amidst the courtiers who surround him.
At window.
Behold them, bareheaded and bowing lowly, where he alone is covered and bears head erect. What is it I see? Athelwold leading to him the horse, and holding for him the stirrup, that the king may tread upon him in rising to the saddle. What degradation! And Athelwold is noble too, my husband. Oh, 'tis most humiliating. Go, mighty king, the lower thou shalt tread men beneath thy feet, the greater wilt thou be, and the more envied that woman whom thou shalt place beside thee on thy throne. Should I become a widow...
Enter Athelwold, pale and agitated.
Kate!
Catherine, following Henry with her eyes.
I am here.
'Tis well. Hasten a pen and parchment instantly.
What would you do?
Athelwold, sitting at table and writing.
Where were you whilst the king was here?
Behind yon tapestry.
Athelwold, still writing.
Ah, then you've heard.
Every word.
You heard my wealth is confiscated?
Yes.
That even my life is menaced?
Yes, yes, but the king will be softened.
Athelwold, rising and looking at her.
And you know for whom I thus lose all?
Catherine, throwing herself into his arms.
Oh, yes, yes.
Well, the moment I have expected has now arrived.
What mean you?
When you recovered from your lethargy, I showed you this vial, still half full of the narcotic liquid.
Oh, heaven!
Catherine, my beloved, 'tis now my turn to do that for your happiness which I caused you to perform for mine. I must now descend as you did into the crypt, die to the world, that I may live again for only you.
Drinks.
Oh, no, no, you must not.
Athelwold, showing the vial empty.
Behold.
Empty? Mercy, I will call for aid.
Silence. And remember, we must not lose a moment, for moments are numbered to me now, and there are 1,000 things that I would say to thee.
Athelwold, Athelwold! Oh, heaven, how pale he is already!
Catherine, this parchment, it will be found about me, will indicate that, fearing Henry's anger and wishing to escape the block, I have taken poison. The motive will appear sufficient, and no one will suspect that my death is feigned.
Athelwold, Athelwold, this is tempting Providence.
It has restored to me a more precious treasure, which I confided to its care. Listen, I am the last of my line. I dead, my name would be extinct, and my wealth would go unto the crown. Oh, be not alarmed. I shall still have gold enough for splendor in a foreign land.
Catherine, thoughtful.
What say you?
That by all but thee I speedily shall be forgotten. Thou alone wilt think of me when I'm enclosed within that tomb, of which there are but 2 keys that can unlock the door.
2?
Yes, one of those keys must be given to my heir, my king.
And the other?
Athelwold, placing key in her hand.
To thee, my wife.
No, no. Retain that key, and when you awake, you can yourself employ it.
And who will place it near me? Have you forgotten that you may not yourself attend me to the tomb?
Catherine, taking the key.
Ah, true.
Athelwold, falling on his knee.
And now, dearest, while still I've power to gaze, let me read in your eyes that I shall awake to love and happiness.
Catherine sinks on the couch.
While I can listen, let me hear your sweet voice murmur words of tenderness in my ear, and let its melodious accents penetrate to my soul, even while I sleep, for you will be beside my tomb, will you not? Oh, yes, yes, you will be there, watching my return to life, your eyes fixed on mine, your hand placed upon my heart.
Taking her hand, he starts.
Ah, that ring, again that ring. Oh, let me have it, Kate.
Catherine, giving it to him.
There.
Oh, how happy am I in thy love. Oh, speak to me, say that you are mine, only mine, that I am dear to thee.
Athelwold, my husband.
Aside.
I know not what to say to him.
Embraces him convulsively. Athelwold, rising.
Oh, embrace me not thus. Thou makest it terrible to quit thee even for an hour. Thy breath is of fire, it burns my blood. Air, air, I stifle. Catherine!
He falls.
Catherine!
Catherine, on one knee, raising his head on the other.
Oh, heaven! Oh, heaven!
I no longer see or hear thee. Thy hand.
Forcibly pressing it.
Where is thy hand? O Catherine, my life, my soul, tomorrow, tomorrow.
Athelwold's head slides from Catherine's knee and onto ground. Catherine contemplates him for an instant as he lies before her. Then, her lips trembling, but without speaking, she places her hand on his heart, and, feeling that it has ceased to beat, she, still on one knee behind the body, draws the royal ring from his finger and passes it on her own, and looks to window. This is done in silence and without music. Slow curtain. End of Act 2. Act 3 of Catherine Howard by Alexandre Dumas, adapted by W.D. Suter. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 3. Scene 1. The throne room of the palace, as in Act 1, Scene 1. Throne on steps. Henry discovered, seated. Princess Margaret kneeling at his feet, her head bowed on his knees.
Oh, sire! Brother! Suffer me to weep before you, for you alone know why I weep.
Courage, girl, courage.
Princess, still kneeling.
Oh, my brother, yours is the greatest loss. For of all the flattering courtiers by whom you are surrounded, he was the only man who really cared for you.
I know it.
He was the most noble amongst all nobility, the bravest of the brave.
True, true.
And yet you menaced him, my brother. 'Twas you who drove him to that dread extremity. 'Tis you who are the cause of that.
Oh, silence, silence. The wealth of kingdoms would I give, if I could but recall the threats I uttered.
'Tis late now, brother, too late. for he is dead.
You are young, and will yet wed happily, Margaret, for you can choose amongst the noblest of our land.
No, the heart which has loved Athelwold henceforth can worship only heaven, and of all the world can offer I ask but this.
Aside, producing key.
The key which unlocks the vault where he lies buried.
Aside.
Farewell, Harry, farewell.
My heart, too, is now bereft of all it loved. Oh, Catherine, Catherine!
Enter Page.
Sire, a young lady who comes, she says, from the neighbourhood of Richmond, is in the adjoining chamber, and most earnestly solicits an interview with your Majesty.
Oh, 'twas near Richmond that Catherine resided. Bid the lady approach.
Exit Page.
Some companion, someone who knew her, and who, now about to wed, peradventure comes to ask a dowry at my hands.
Catherine appears, closely veiled.
What would you, young lady?
Catherine advances slowly to the king, kneels, and presents the ring that he has given her.
The ring? Who, then, are you?
He hastily removes the veil. Catherine remains on her knee, her eyes cast down.
Catherine Howard? Great heaven, what can this mean? Do I gaze upon a shadow, or reality?
Taking her in his arms and raising her.
Living? Oh, it cannot be. For did I not behold you tended on the tablet, enveloped in a shroud, and pale and frozen as a marble statue? Has heaven permitted you to rise from the funeral bier? Oh, speak, speak, your voice alone can prove to me that you are not a phantom.
Sire, am I the first maid deemed dead when only in a trance, who has awakened in the coffin wherein she had been placed?
King of kings, King Harry, thank thee! Knew you that I loved you?
I had been told so, sire.
Knew you that, rendered desperate, I descended to your tomb?
That too I was told.
And knew you that it was this hand which placed that ring upon your finger?
The ring I have restored to you, sire.
And was your trance so deep that you remember not of all that passed while you so slept?
Nothing.
And of your previous life?
I have forgotten it.
Entirely?
I live only since the moment that I issued from my grave. I have no memory for aught beyond.
But tell me, dearest Catherine, how got you from the vault?
Catherine, looking at a key which she holds pressed in her hand.
Every vault has a key which closes and which opens it.
Oh, I shudder at the thought that you might have remained enclosed within that sepulchre, living amongst the dead, and none have known that you were there.
Horror!
Starting.
That would have been most awful.
To awaken within a coffin alone, in darkness, vainly to shrink for succour, and to be answered only by the dreary echoes, at last to feel approach the pangs of hunger.
No more, no more.
In great agony, carrying her hand to her head.
Oh, atrocious, most atrocious.
Forgive me for thus recalling to your thoughts such horrors. And stay, receive again this ring.
Placing it on her finger.
Never more to be plucked from your finger.
So you renew to Catherine the living the promises made to Catherine the dead?
All, my palace and my throne, thou shalt share with me. Thy most golden dream shall be realized. Thou shalt revel in every delight which this world can afford. Where'er my power extends, thou shalt command. Thou shalt be happy.
Catherine, looking at key in her hand.
Do you think so?
By my faith, yes. Wherefore shouldst thou not? Art thou not young, beautiful, beloved?
And Queen?
We will be united sans delay in our private chapel, and tomorrow I will publicly proclaim Catherine Howard the Queen of Henry the Eighth.
Catherine, going rapidly to window.
Sire, the water flowing beneath this window, is it very deep?
Yes.
Seeing her extend the hand which holds the key.
What is it you do?
Catherine, dropping key.
Nothing.
Aside.
I make myself queen.
Aloud.
Sire, your affianced bride is ready.
Henry, embracing her.
Ah, beloved Kate, await me here. Speedily I shall return.
Hurries off.
Am I really now awake, or is all that's passing round me but a dream? I feel impelled by an invisible breath, which urges me forward like the dust of the earth or the clouds of heaven. But the past is annihilated. The present only is something, the future everything. I exist. I live. All that is occurring to me now is real. What matters to me then the rest? This is the palace. This the throne. My foot is on the first step.
Places it.
I ascend.
Does so.
I sit.
Sits in throne chair.
Oh, to assure me that all this is true, let someone approach and bow before me. Let them acknowledge my power and salute me as the queen.
Enter Athelwold, pale and haggard. He advances slowly, and places his foot on the first step of the throne. Athelwold, bowing.
Hail, Catherine Howard, Queen of England.
Catherine, aghast, falling back in chair.
Horror! Horror!
Scarcely a moment are you queen, but yet already, Catherine, you see that as soon as they're expressed, your wishes are accomplished.
Athelwold!
Do you indeed recognize me? The grave is treacherous, is it not? You deemed 'twas more secure and more profound.
Mercy! Awaken me, O heaven! No longer let me writhe a prey to this most hellish dream.
How gladly would you hear 'twas but a dream, but no, Catherine, no, you do not sleep.
Art thou a spectre, a phantom shade?
Yes, to all but thee. To thee I live, am still thy husband. To all the rest, as thou sayest, I am a shadow.
What devil has evoked thee from thy close-shut marble home?
Thou didst forget, fair Catherine, that there were 2 keys, that I gave thee one, and that the king received the other. Thou didst forget that there were 2 women, one whom I did not love, but who loved me, she is the Princess Margaret, the other whom I loved, but who loved me not, and she is Catherine Howard. These women have changed characters. Who should have remembered has forgotten. Who should have forgotten has remembered, so that on my awakening I beheld the one instead of the other beside my tomb.
Oh, I crave your mercy, Athelwold.
Going to him.
Forgive me, and let us fly. Let us depart together, as you at first did wish. I am ready. Conceal me within your cloak. Bear me in your own dear arms. Hide me in some remote and desolate corner of the earth, but let us fly. Let us fly.
Athelwold, repulsing her.
No, lady, the destiny of all on earth must be accomplished, mine equally with your own.
Athelwold.
You were of humble birth, but not content to be a duke's wife, you thirsted to be queen. Well, your wish will be gratified. You have not feared the passion of Henry VIII, yet his love will destroy you.
Oh, have pity on me.
You have desired a crown, and you will rest it on your brow, but it will whiten your hair. You have sighed for a scepter. You will grasp it, but it will wither your hand. You have sought a throne. You have mounted it, but in descending you will stumble against Anne Boleyn's block.
Catherine, clapping her hands to her neck.
Oh, saints in heaven!
Ha, lady! That your sleep may have golden dreams, you need a bed whereon already 4 queens have reposed. Dare to close your eyes there, Catherine, and on the morrow you shall tell me what those queens said when they came to you, at the hour when ghosts steal from their tombs.
Am I to see you then again?
Canst thou doubt it, Catherine? Have we not stood together at the altar? And death alone can separate those whom heaven hath united. Yes, thou wilt again behold me, for the most secret passages of the palace are familiar to me. And Fleming and the Princess Margaret will lend me their aid, and will be silent. Catherine Howard, though the Queen of England, is none the less Countess of Northumberland. The Northumberland's rights are more ancient, madam, than those of the Tudor, and faithful subject though I am, I cannot consent to yield to him but a portion of them.
What is that you would do?
Your ascension to the throne has been but slow and tortuous. Enjoy without delay the happiness of having reached it, for straight and rapid will be your fall therefrom.
But to crush me, you must also destroy yourself.
I have told you, Catherine, that in life and death my destiny is your own. We have reposed in the same bed. We will mount the same scaffold. Will lie within the self-same grave.
The king approaches. Fly, my lord, fly!
Athelwold darts to a small door, and holding it open is concealed behind it. Doors are thrown open, and lords, pages, etc. enter. Henry comes forward and takes Catherine's hand.
My lords and gentlemen, behold the Queen.
2 or 3 voices exclaim, "Long live the Queen!" All bow.
Kate, I have kept my word. The Archbishop stands in readiness.
Athelwold, aside.
Let me now fulfill mine. Catherine, I go to prepare the executioner.
Flourish. All go up center. Catherine, at back, turns and sees Athelwold, who is gazing menacingly on her. She shudders, utters a subdued cry, and clings to Henry. All turn towards her. Athelwold disappears, closing door. Scene closes in. Scene 2. Street. Enter the Duke of Norfolk, attended. Duke of Sussex, attended.
Still in England, my lord. I believed, ere this, you had renewed acquaintance with the Scots on the banks of Tweed.
Within the next 24 hours I certainly shall depart. But have you heard the news at court, my lord?
No, I have this instant returned to London. Has aught of importance.
Then you do not know that Athelwood is dead?
Dead? Heaven forfend! How very sudden!
And something even more important still has happened. But I have no time to tell you now, unless indeed you make my way. Thereby...
Oh, I have no momentous matter on my hands, and am most anxious to learn.
Come then, my lord.
Exeunt. Martin Crinkley enters, dragging on Simon by the collar.
Do not be ridiculous, Simon, but come along.
I object to this proceeding. It is a liberty.
I am very glad of it, for liberty is a scarce commodity nowadays.
You have dragged me from my home.
And not without sufficient reason. I am thirsty.
This is tyranny.
Ha! Of course it is. I tell you, Simon, the country is full of tyrants. There is no such thing as freedom for a living mortal. Look at me, Simon. I pay taxes. Well.
Pointing.
The owner of yonder tavern, not an hour since, forcibly ejected me from his premises, because, after I had drunk a flagon of his vile home-brewed, he suddenly discovered that I had no money where I was to pay for it.
And served you right, Martin.
Simon, you are unworthy the blessings of freedom. I pant for that liberty, whether I have money or not. I may help myself to whatever I think proper.
If your wife knew...
Mention not the female here. Simon, do you know that one of our tyrants is defunct? The Duke of Northumberland is no more.
Poor gentleman. He had a good heart. He was kind to the poor.
Yes, and now observe how basely he has acted. Evidently weary of these donations, he has poisoned himself, that he might henceforth save his money and be rid of their importunities.
Poisoned himself? Oh dear, that was very wrong.
Simon, I see it plainly. You carry about with you the germs of tyranny, and if you had had the power, would no doubt have taken from him the liberty to destroy himself.
Certainly, I am a Christian.
Oh, Simon, a Christian is nothing. But I am a man. I pay taxes. Man should be a free agent. So come along, Simon.
Grasping him.
You have money, and my throat is remarkably dry.
Shout without.
Eh? What is that? Have the people risen for their liberties? Then I shall go home and pray for their success.
Simon, going to write.
Rise? Ridiculous. What for?
Looking off.
No, I see 'tis the brave Duke of Sussex. As he passes along, the people recognize him.
Oh, miserable slaves, to shout because they see a lord, and that is liberty.
Certainly, the liberty to shout.
Simon, thank heaven I still have the liberty to say that you are a fool.
Turns from him.
Ah, but that is making rather too free.
Duke of Sussex and attendants enter. Simon bows and draws back. Duke passes over to left. Brinkley, not seeing Sussex.
And would I shout? Would I humble myself before a lord? Never.
Sussex, close to Martin.
Suffer me to pass, good fellow.
Brinkley, starting, turning, and seeing Duke.
Certainly, my lord. I crave pardon. I was not aware.
Bowing humbly and profoundly, and drawing back as Duke and his attendants go off.
There goes one of the foes to liberty.
Then why did you bow so lowly to him?
To hide from him the indignation in my countenance.
Pooh! You are a counterfeit.
Counterfeit? How do you mean? I'm a man. I pay taxes, and I pant for freedom, and I say that lords are foes to liberty, and while those lords are at liberty, there can be no liberty.
Captain of guard and 2 soldiers pass behind. Brinkley, not seeing them.
And if it needed a hand to exterminate every lord in the kingdom, even the king, I...
Captain, suddenly stopping.
Treason!
Advancing quickly.
Which of you uttered that?
It was...
Brinkley, quickly.
Certainly it was he. He is forever talking treason. I'm a man. I pay taxes.
Captain, pointing to Simon.
Secure him.
Simon, as they seize him.
No, no, I assure you. Oh, Martin.
Simon, 'tis my duty to sacrifice you. Liberty demands it.
Simon, in great alarm.
Suffer me to speak.
You have already said too much.
Certainly. Much too much. Away with him.
Simon is taken off.
Worthy fellow, we shall need your evidence. Follow to the guardhouse.
Exit Captain.
At present 'tis not convenient. Simon will be no loss to society. I only shall regret him, for he gone, whence will come the spiced ale so necessary to inspire my patriotic ardour? Now I will go home to my domestic tyrant, with the sweet consolation that I am a man. I pay taxes, that I am not unworthy to be free, for I have this instant sacrificed my friend to preserve my own liberty.
With Roman firmness, exit. Scene changes to Scene 3. The Queen's chamber. Door covered with tapestry. Catherine discovered seated, her elbows on a table, and her face buried in her hands.
Oh, how quickly will my brow be furrowed by wearing this mask of gaiety, while misery is at my heart.
Rises.
I thought that I should love him because he was a king. Love him. I fear him, that is all.
Sinks on couch. Athelwold, unseen by Catherine, raises tapestry of door, enters and slowly advances.
And oh, should he continue to pursue? He said this morning he would come to me. I dare not look around, lest I should see him standing there.
Pointing, without looking, at the spot where Athelwold is standing.
Stern and menacing, lest I should hear his sepulchral voice pronounce my name.
Starting up.
I will summon my maids of honour. Why did they leave me thus alone?
About to ring bell. Her hand is arrested by that of Athelwold.
One instant, Catherine.
Great heaven! How got you here?
Athelwold, pointing.
By that door which communicates with the apartment of the Princess Margaret.
You are a magician. I myself locked that door.
You always forget, Catherine, that there may be 2 keys to every lock.
Catherine, going hastily to write.
This, at least.
secures door by placing the wooden bar across it.
Poor Catherine! Thou art as anxious now to prevent the king beholding me as I was formerly to guard you from his sight.
Oh, if he saw me here with you, we both were lost.
The very words which once I spoke to you.
And now, what would you with me? Speak.
I would know if thy new fortune hath made thee happy.
Happy? Athelwold, I could not wish such happiness to the murderer of my mother. Rest satisfied that you are well avenged. Did you but know how much I suffer, oh, surely you would pity me.
Pity, madam, that would be a strange sentiment to cherish for a queen. Pity you? Have you not gained all that you so much desired? Obsequious pages, a brilliant court, superb vestments, and sumptuous apartments?
Oh, for Nurse Kennedy, my plain white robe, my little room at Richmond, and thee, my Athelwold, loving me as thou once loved me.
Sinks on couch. Athelwold, sitting at table near couch.
Yes, I at that time was sad while you were gay. You've not forgotten, Catherine, the ballad that you so oft recited to me? The king has received his answer. The bondswoman wears a crown.
Oh, unhappily, yes.
Athelwold, rising and seating himself on stool at Catherine's feet.
When I asked you for the sequel of the loves of Richard and Elfrida the Fair, you answered that you did not know it. Shall I relate it to you?
To what purpose?
Because the story may interest you, since it bears a close resemblance to our own.
Places his hat on couch.
Say and do whatever you will. You are the master.
Well, Elfrida answered yes, and became queen.
Unhappy woman, to be a queen.
But she had forgotten one thing, which was to confess her amour with Richard to her royal husband. 'Tis very strange, but there was at that time a law exactly similar to that which Henry of England has passed, which condemns to death any female who, after a like affection, should, without informing him of it, espouse the king.
To death?
'Tis true that this secret was known only to Richard her accomplice.
And that law condemned the accomplice to the same death that it inflicted on the guilty woman.
Yes, but what is death to a man who has been jealous, especially when that death brings him revenge upon the woman that caused him to suffer all the tortures of hell?
Mercy!
Richard found means to gain entrance into the palace, penetrating even to the apartments of the queen, who no doubt was studying by what way she could be rid of that man.
Catherine, quickly.
Oh, you cannot think that.
Oh, no. Perhaps she would only have immured him within some vault of which she alone possessed the key. She might there have left him to die of hunger and thirst, or have stricken him with a dagger.
Oh, never, never!
However, that he might be prepared for every hazard, he wore beneath his vestments a coat of mail, like this.
Draws aside his tunic, and displays a coat of mail.
For though Richard feared not death, he greatly dreaded the loss of vengeance. Well, as I said, he penetrated to the queen's chamber, where she was alone. He seated himself at her back, as I am now at yours. Then he took the hands with which she would have concealed her face,
dragging her hands down as she is about to hide her face, and holding them,
and forcing her to look into his eyes, he said to her, Catherine, no, I mistake, Elfrida, never was woman loved by man as I love thee. Speak.
Never.
Never man sacrificed so much for woman as I for thee. Speak.
Never, never.
And never was man so atrociously rewarded as I have been.
Rising.
Speak. Will you speak?
Catherine, rising from couch and bending before him.
Mercy, mercy.
Athelwold, despairingly.
Oh, he could have pardoned everything in that woman. Her forgetfulness, her ingratitude, even his death, everything. Except having passed into the arms of another. He could not forgive her that. It was impossible that he could ever pardon her, and so They perished, both.
Perished?
Trumpets heard.
Yes, for whilst the queen's lover was locked with her in her chamber, the king returned from the council board.
My lord, those trumpets announce that the king is coming hither. Fly, oh fly!
Athelwold, immovable.
And as he would not leave,
Ah!
When the king reached the door of the queen's apartments,
Knocking at door.
he found it firmly sealed.
Henry, without.
Open, Kate, it is I.
Catherine, imploringly.
My lord,
Clinging to Athelwold. Athelwold, raising his voice.
And heard two voices together speaking.
Catherine, you are not alone. Open.
Athelwold, thrusting Catherine from him, who falls.
Ha! Ha! 'Tis now they turn to feel the pangs of jealousy.
Catherine, kneeling.
be merciful and slay me.
Henry, without.
Aid me, gentlemen. Guards, force the door.
The door is struck violently without. Catherine, pointing to door, which is yielding.
See!
Yes, it is time that I should quit thee. But, Catherine, we shall meet again.
Hurries off behind the tapestry as door is forced open and Henry enters, sword in hand, accompanied by lords, etc. Soldiers appear in the doorway. Henry, looking round.
No one? How is this? Who, madam, has been with you?
Grasping her arm.
Look at me and answer.
No one, sire, no one. You see that I am alone.
Henry searches, and suddenly sees Athelwold's hat. Henry, holding hat towards her.
And this?
Oh, heaven!
Henry, going to tapestry door.
He to whom it belongs can only have left by this portal. Am I not right?
Catherine, running to him.
Sire!
Henry, trying door.
Ah, made fast.
Catherine, reassured.
You see?
The key.
The key? I know nothing of it, sire.
Search and you will find it. Search, I say.
Impossible. I cannot remember.
Will you swear you have it not about you?
Catherine, producing key and offering it.
'Tis here, sire.
Henry, endeavouring to open door.
Sdeath, is it so? The point of a dagger broken in the lock. Ah, your accomplice has contrived his measures admirably to prevent pursuit. But he forgot that he would leave you within my power. The name, madam, of that man.
Sire, I implore you.
His name?
Catherine, entreatingly.
No one, sire.
His name?
Oh, I cannot, sire, I cannot.
Ah, you cannot. So said Anne Boleyn too, but we found means to conquer her silence. And closely as her adulterous lips were sealed, yet agony wrung from them the name of Norris. For the last time, Catherine, the name of your paramour.
I am at your mercy, sire. Do with me what you will.
And not to justify thyself, not a word to make me doubt the evidence of my senses. Again deceived, again betrayed, and always by those most near and dear to me. Captain of the guard, secure your prisoner.
Oh, sire, sire!
Catherine, be ready to appear before the judges who condemned Anne Boleyn to the scaffold.
Catherine utters a despairing cry and falls senseless to the ground. Henry turns away. Scene closes in. Scene 4. Room in Martin Crinkley's house. Enter Martin, followed by Winifred.
Stir from the house at thy peril.
Oh, gramercy, and I'm a man. I pay taxes.
If I were not more thrifty than thou, lazy varlet, nothing would be paid.
And must I suffer my patriotic nature to be subdued by a woman? Must I be pent up within four walls, while my heart is struggling for a nation's liberty? Woman, know'st thou the value of freedom?
Yes, but thou shalt not, for at least a week to come. I warrant me thou wouldst go to Simon Creedner.
No, decidedly I have no inclination thereto. It would not harmonize with the liberty I contend for.
Enter Simon Creedner.
Simon, and free? Let me embrace thee, thou martyr to liberty.
Keep off. Your turn will come. O Mistress Crinkly, hast thou heard the dreadful tidings? Catherine Howard, so lately become queen, is sentenced to be beheaded.
Oh, dear, dear. Another poor creature doomed to the block. My heart foreboded that Anne Bullen would not be the last. What a time for us lovely women!
And there again, why should a king arrogate to himself a liberty that he denies his subjects?
What dost thou mean, dolt?
The king has had 5 wives, I but one. When he wearies of them, he makes them shorter by the head. I am a man, I pay taxes, wherefore then should I not enjoy the same precious liberty?
Oh, thou Bluebeard!
Why should not I at the present moment be about to rid myself of my 5th wife? Nay, I would not complain if I were even now allowed thus pleasantly to put away my first. The smallest donation to liberty would be thankfully received.
Winifred, in a rage.
Thou wretch!
But Simon, there is no hope for liberty.
Winifred, striking him on the shoulder.
Thou monster!
Crinkly, roaring.
Oh, Simon, liberty has received a heavy blow.
Martin, I despise you. You are a traitor to your friend.
Friend, I reject the term. You are my instrument, my victim.
Very well, then. We shall presently change places, for I very soon found witnesses to prove that it was you who always talked treason.
What is all this?
He caused me to be locked in prison for his fault, Mistress Winifred.
Oh, thou mannikin!
What so sacred as our liberty?
And soldiers will be here to convey him to the Tower.
I am very glad to hear it.
What? Then I am lost. Oh, Simon, you surely could not. And say your words. Oh, I implore you by your long-tried friendship. Surely you will not basely sacrifice me to save your own worthless life. Simon, by the many cups of sack that we have drunk together, and you have always paid for, I implore you, save me.
You know, Martin, 'tis my duty to sacrifice you. Liberty demands it.
No, Simon, my liberty does not demand anything of the sort.
Simon turns from him.
The tyrant is inexorable. You, Winifred, my fond, my doting wife, you will save me. Hide me. Think of liberty and lock me in the ale cellar.
No, Martin, thou dost deserve thy punishment, and the law must take its course.
Take its course? Oh, that means that my blockhead must go to the block. Oh, how loose my head does feel. Winifred Crinkly, now I understand your atrocious nature. You are a disciple of the king's liberty. You are a female Harry the Eighth, Mistress Winifred, and you are about to repudiate your first husband. Oh, 'tis all very well to be a patriot, but I never intended to be a martyr.
Going left, Captain of Guard enters.
Halt, Martin Crinkly.
Simon, pointing.
That is the illustrious individual.
Good.
Mercy, your highness, I am a man. I pay taxes.
Martin Crinkly, my soldiers are without, and I arrest thee for seditious speech. Come.
No, no, mercy. Have you no regard for the liberty of the subject?
Thou art dangerous to the king's welfare.
Me? There never was a more harmless mortal. I appeal to my wife. She has known me a great many years, even before I was married.
Captain, suddenly drawing his sword.
Come.
Crinkly, falling on his knees.
No, no, do not kill me here. Not before my wife. Respect your feelings if you have no regard for mine. Let me have liberty to kneel at your feet. I love the king, admire his policy, particularly his matrimonial arrangements. Henry VIII for ever. Long live the king, hurrah!
Captain, thou mayst spare him, for he is but a silly goose, and his cackle very harmless.
Crinkly, still on his knees.
There, I told your worship that she knew me.
It is the character that I before heard of him, but so much license cannot be permitted to his tongue. If, however, you, who appear to be a prudent woman, will undertake control of him.
Of course she will. 'Tis her constant custom.
Ah, trust me that for the future I shall hold him with a tight rein.
And take my advice, Mistress Winifred. Sometimes apply the lash.
Crinkly, looking reproachfully at Simon.
And that is the friend whose spiced ale I have so often drunk.
Then, Martin Crinkly, I spare thee for the present, but remember, thou wilt be strictly watched.
Exit. Crinkly, on his knees.
I am a man. I pay taxes, and...
Looking at himself.
This is the tax I have to pay for liberty.
Get thee to thy home instantly, Simon.
Yes, Mistress Winifred. Farewell, most valiant patriot, most illustrious martyr.
Exit.
Rise, varlet. How couldst thou so degrade thy manhood as to kneel to a captain of the guard?
Crinkly, rising.
You cannot possibly think that I bowed the knee to him.
Well, unless my eyes deceived me.
They did, for 'twas not him that I invoked. 'Twas not to him I knelt. No, I bowed to glorious liberty. I am still ready to die for liberty.
Art thou? Then thou shalt have no liberty for a month.
No, then thou art too free altogether. And when you talk of the liberty to abridge my liberty, I must take the liberty to observe that it is a liberty I shall not allow.
She boxes his ears. He dodges her, and runs off. Winifred follows, beating him. Scene changes to Scene 5, Chamber in the Tower. 2/3 are covered by large black curtains. Door, table and chair, lamp, large open book, and writing materials. Catherine is discovered, kneeling on hassock, her face hid on her arms, which are spread upon the table. Clock begins to strike 5. On the 3rd stroke, Catherine raises her head, and begins to count. She is dressed in plain black. Her hair is dishevelled, and she is deadly pale.
3, 4, 5. 5 o'clock. Another hour and I am dust, and tomorrow the sun will rise upon my grave. So young, yet I have but to extend my arm to reach eternity. To die, to die! O heaven, wilt thou leave me thus to perish?
Rising.
Oh, if the king would but pardon me, and suffer me to return to the retreat from whence he drew me. Oh, that I were but permitted to kneel and weep to him! Surely he would have compassion. Surely he would spare me. I must see him.
Producing diamond ring.
My last hope, all that is left to me of my queenly fortune. Oh, come thou to my aid. And the time is passing. The moments fly. How long is it since it was 5 o'clock? I can no longer measure the hours. My senses are bewildered.
She sinks into a chair, her hands pressed upon her forehead. She starts, fixes her eyes on door. It slowly opens. The executioner enters, takes a step or two within the door, and then sinks on his knee. Catherine, on his entrance, has started to her feet, and is now clinging with one hand to the table.
You know, madam, who I am?
I fear so. You are...
Unable to finish.
Yes.
Why do you kneel?
I come, according to custom, to ask forgiveness.
Oh, mockery! The deathsman asks pardon of the victim he is hired to slay.
I must perform my duty, madam.
Catherine, looking at diamond which she has placed on her finger.
Think you not that yours is a horrible trade?
Executioner, rising.
Horrible?
Why then do you follow it?
Because my grandsire bequeathed it to my father, and it was my father's legacy to me.
Then you abhor the trade?
I have known the time that I would have given half my life to have been permitted to embrace another.
And since?
I have found it necessary to harden my nature to it.
There is in London no other of your calling?
No other, madam.
And were you to quit the city, no one could replace you?
No one, madam.
And they would be forced to send to Calais for...
Yes, as they did for Queen Anne, as I could have wished that they have done for you.
And a respite of 3 or 4 days thus would be obtained.
Undoubtedly.
Catherine, to herself.
During which I should be able to see the king, or, if not see, write to him, and perchance obtain my pardon.
Going to executioner.
My friend, you must quit London.
Impossible.
Wherefore?
Who would support my wife and children?
But if I made you rich?
Rich?
What is your yearly recompense for this?
20 pounds.
Look at this ring.
Well?
It is worth 1,000 pounds, a sum that it would take you 20 years to win. You may, if you choose, possess this ring.
But to earn it, what would be required of me?
To fly, that is all. I do not ask you to save me, that I know you could not do, but with your wife and children instantly depart and quit the kingdom. No one would recognize you. You would no longer return home with hands reddened with blood, and the infamy bequeathed to you by your father would not descend unto your son.
I need not run so great risk to obtain that ring, for it will belong to me. Everything worn by the condemned is my inheritance.
But I would give this ring to one of my women.
You will no more behold them.
From the scaffold I could proclaim its worth, and cast it amidst the crowd.
I could snatch it from you here.
Look!
Holding ring to her mouth.
Even that attempt would fail you.
And that ring, madam, is really worth 1,000 pounds? You swear it?
Catherine, placing her hand on open book which lies on table.
I swear it on this sacred volume.
Give it to me, and I go.
And by what oath will you assure me of your departure?
I swear, madam, by the life of my youngest child, and may heaven crush me if I do not fulfil my oath, that on the instant I receive that ring I will quit London and never again return.
Catherine, giving ring.
Take it then, and fly.
Executioner hurries off. Catherine sinking on her knees.
O heaven, I thank thee, for I believe thou hast at last had pity on me.
Enter Archbishop Cranmer.
I am glad, my child, to find you in that humble posture, since you have now but half an hour to live.
Catherine, rising.
Ah!
Aside.
But he knows not. No, no.
Smiling.
He does not know.
My child, what strange thoughts occupy your mind, that they, at such a fearful moment, can cause you to smile?
Father, you must procure me access to the king.
Impossible, ma'am. The execution is fixed for 6 o'clock, and it is now so near the hour that...
But if that execution should not take place?
Cranmer, shaking his head.
My child.
You will never reveal what now I am about to utter.
Oh, never.
Catherine, leaning on his shoulder and speaking in a subdued tone.
There can be no execution without an executioner, and he has fled.
In a still lower tone.
Even while now we speak, he has quitted London.
How very strange.
Hark!
Murmurs without.
It is the crowd assembled before the scaffold.
Ah, they will lose their expected sport. I will now write to the king. You promise that you will deliver him my letter?
Lieutenant of Tower enters. Several persons look anxiously in.
What would you?
Pardon, madam, but...
Looking about.
He's not here.
Catherine, aside.
They will not find him. He has kept his word.
Cranmore, to Catherine.
Heaven protect you, my child.
To Lieutenant.
You seek?
The executioner, for I could not believe that he had fled.
Trumpets heard without. Catherine, clinging to Cranmer.
What is that?
A proclamation that if for the present occasion anyone will volunteer to supply the place of the missing executioner, he shall receive the sum of 20 pounds and be permitted to conceal his features beneath a mask.
Trumpet sounds again, more distant. Lieutenant goes off. Door is closed.
But There cannot under heaven be found a wretch sufficiently vile to undertake the loathsome mission.
I hope not, my child.
Let me instantly write to the king.
Sits at table.
Tell me, my lord, what I must say to him, for my brain is wandering.
Write the language of truth, and heaven permit it to soften the king's heart.
Oh, no one will offer. No one would perform the horrible task. 'Twould be a hideous assassination.
Write, madam, write.
Catherine, writing.
Henry, with my foot upon the scaffold, by the light of a last ray of hope, do I...
Suddenly stopping, grasping Cranmer's robe, and pointing to a man who enters, masked.
Look there, my lord!
With great terror.
Look there!
Rising and retreating.
It is he! It is he!
Athelwold, masked, having advanced slowly as she recoils, passing with her back to the audience.
Madam, are you prepared?
It is his voice! His accursed voice! How came I to forget him?
To Cranmer.
Oh, my lord, I am lost!
Passes to the other side of Cranmer, clinging to him.
I am lost!
Entreat this man to have pity on you, my child.
Pity from him, as well expect it from the block on which I am about to place my head.
You know him, then?
She shudders.
Oh, yes. You know me, Catherine, do you not? You remember the destiny of both of us must be accomplished? Confess to the Holy Father that you deserve your punishment, that once to die is insufficient for your crimes, and that you have merited 1,000 deaths. Hasten, madam, for it is the hour of your doom, and the headsman awaits his victim.
He passes out through curtains.
My daughter.
Yes, my lord. Yes, I am indeed a guilty wretch. Think you that heaven will pardon me?
Hope, child, for infinite is its mercy.
4 maids of honour dressed in black enter and come slowly forward. Catherine, to them.
I did not think that I should see you once again. Would that I was able to bequeath you something in remembrance of your queen, but poor I mounted to the throne, and poor indeed do I descend therefrom. I have nothing.
Ladies kneel, 2 on each side of her, and weeping, kiss her hands. The first stroke of 6 o'clock is heard. She shudders, and staggers back a pace or 2. The ladies continue kneeling. Cranmer, going to Catherine.
Daughter.
I am ready, father. I am ready.
Catherine goes slowly off through curtains, supported by Cranmer. The clock continues striking, and after the last stroke of 6, a short pause. Then a dull, heavy sound, as of an axe falling. Confused murmurs. The black curtains are suddenly drawn aside, and discover a raised scaffold with steps leading to it from the stage. On each side of the steps, guards, with halberds and torches. On scaffold, the body of Catherine covered with a pall. Cranmer kneeling, and Athelwold upright, his hands upon the handle of the axe. In the distance, Tower Hill and spectators. The lieutenant and officers advance slowly on each side from the back. Pause.
The law condemned alike the guilty woman and her accomplice, and that the sentence may be fully executed, to your hands I now give that accomplice.
Casting aside axe, and tearing mask from his face.
Behold him, arrest him, kill him. His mission in life is done. His outraged love and honor are revenged. And now, welcome, oh welcome death to the last Northumberland.
2 officers rush on the scaffold and secure Athelwold. At the same time, general exclamation of Athelwold! Grand tableau and curtain. End of Act 3. End of Catherine Howard.